So the LIV Golf CEO Greg Norman is eager for a LIV Golf versus PGA Tour Ryder Cup style match, right? And on Twitter, Norman has called it the Super Bowl of golf, which is fairly good timing, seeing as the actual Super Bowl is happening this week. With that in mind, though, I thought it'd be fun. I'm going to reveal 12 singles matches consisting of PGA Tour and LIV Golf players to see who Andy and Matt think would come out on top. Are you ready to play this, guys?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get stuck in.
with trepidation in Matt's voice. Okay. So 12 matches. Pen and paper at the ready, please.
Okay.
And if you fancy having a go, join in at home too. Or if you're out and about, well, maybe not if you're out and about, on the train maybe, or if you're in the car, pull over or get the passenger to do it. However you want to do, get involved and let us know how you get on in the comment section on YouTube and on our GolfMagic social media channels as to who you think would win each of the following matches. Okay? Right, there's some tasty tie-up indeed. So let's get stuck in. Match number 1, Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson.
Cool.
Match number 2, Rory McIlroy versus Patrick Reed. Number 3, Jon Rahm versus Cameron Smith. Number 4,
That's a good one.
Max Homa and Dustin Johnson. Match number 5, Xander Schauffele versus Sergio Garcia. Number 6, Patrick Cantley versus Taylor Gooch. Number 7, Jordan Spieth versus Abraham Answer. Match number 8, we're nearly there, hope you're keeping up. Tom Kim versus Joaquin Niemann. Number 9, Justin Thomas versus Bryson DeChambeau. Number 10, Matt Fitzpatrick, Paul Casey. Penultimate match, Colin Morikawa versus Brooks Koepka. And finally, Scotty Scheffler versus Ian Poulter. Right, I hope you jotted all of those down. Let's go back to the very top then. Andy, let's kick off with your pick, please. Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson? Who's coming out on top?
Massive game, that. Right now, don't think Phil's playing well at all. We haven't seen Woods in a while. It's a tough one. I've got to go Tiger. To grind that one out for me. Yeah. So
okay,
PGA
so you're going
Tour
for
win.
a PGA win.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, it's a bit boring, but I think Tiger as well. I don't think, especially last year and Saudi International just gone, I don't think Phil is showing any signs of form. Not that Tiger's playing that much either, of course, but he did make the cut at the Masters and the USPGA last year. So, and you could suggest that Mickelson probably might not have been capable of that last year. So it's a bit of a, although it's two big names, a bit of a dead match, I think. So we'll just give it to Woods, I think.
Yeah, I go Tiger as well, if it's worth anything.
Yep.
Match number 2, Rory McIlroy for the PGA Tour. Patrick Reed on the side of LIV Golf. Who's coming out on top?
I don't need to answer that one. I think you know who I think will win that one. Rory McIlroy
going for
in a 5 and 4
PGA Tour win,
5 and 4 win for McIlroy there. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just far better player at the minute, far in much better form, world number 1. So looking very biased at the minute, aren't we? But it might let
PGA Tour's coming out on top. Could that change though? Jon Rahm or Cameron Smith?
You know what? I'm going to go Cam Smith here. I think he'll turn Jon Rahm around. Yeah, I think it'll be a tight one, but I'll go for a 1-up win for Cam Smith on the 18th green.
Matt,
I'd agree. To be fair, I think Cam Smith. I think he's as we all know, solid putter. Still world number 4. Rahm's had 2 singles matches at the Ryder Cup. He's won 1 and lost 1. So although he's won 4 Ryder Cup matches, they've 3 of them are coming pairs matches. So he's not necessarily the sort of the dominant figure in singles match play. I'd say Cameron Smith. That would be, if it actually happened, that would be a highlight of the day, I reckon.
That'd be the pick of the time.
But yeah, I'd say Cameron Smith. I'd say Cameron Smith would win that.
I think this would be a great idea if it happened in real life. Definitely. Max Homa, next match, or Dustin Johnson.
Big game that. Homer's obviously in a lot of form at the minute, but for me, Dustin Johnson is a better player on his day. He's a top 5 player in the world for me, Dustin Johnson. Max Homer isn't. I think DJ's, we haven't seen much of him recently, but I think if this was to happen, DJ would be well up for it, and I'll go for another LIV Golf win here. I think DJ 2-1 win there.
Alrighty.
I'd agree again. Yeah, I think although Homer's a bit of a big game player, as I said last week, I think DJ's a bit of a beast when it comes to the Ryder Cup and match play at times. I think he's won 3 out of his 4 singles matches at the Ryder Cup. And although he's playing a lot less now on the LIV Golf Tour, I think he's still a bit of he can go into sort of beast mode still. Yeah, I'd say Johnson definitely.
All right, well, it's 2 for 2 at the moment on each side.
Yeah.
So you've got to start changing up, guys. Come on, we're nearly halfway. Match number 5: Xander Schauffele, PGA Tour, or Sergio Garcia on the side of LIV.
Another
Golf.
very close game, Harry. These are very good ties you've come up with.
I know, very good.
Yeah, I think that would be a very tight game. I think Xander Schauffele would just have a little bit too much for Sergio. Again, we're not really seeing Sergio, but I'm not really sure where Sergio is with his game these days. He's kind of one of those players that just kind of his career is slowly fading out. I think Xander Schauffele, is a major winner in waiting. All right, Sergio does have a green jacket. I think Schauffele will win at least a couple of majors in his career. I think he's the better player. Have to go PGA Tour when Xander Schauffele.
I'm going to go with a half in this match.
Ooh.
I think. I think Xander's record in the match play each year isn't that good, and Garcia is the record point scorer at the Ryder Cup.
True.
So he's a bit of a match play specialist. Even at sort of at the end of his career, he played well at the last Ryder Cup. He hasn't got the most ideal singles record. I think he's only won half his singles matches. But I think there's something about team golf, that sort of team match play golf, that sort of galvanises Garcia. So I think that would lead to a half. So I've still got the scores level at the minute, I think.
Alrighty, yeah, it is still level then in that case. Right, we're halfway there now, the halfway point. Match number 6: Patrick Cantlay or Taylor Gooch?
Easy win there for Patrick Cantlay. Keep that nice and simple. I think Patrick Cantlay, again, like Xander Schauffele, major winner in waiting. Don't think Taylor Gooch has got a major in him, to be honest. Cantlay 4-3 win there for me.
It's hard to disagree with that. Loads of top 10s last year. He beat Shane Lowry at the last Ryder Cup, I believe, in the singles, which is a very decent win on his debut. There's nothing I've seen of Taylor Gooch last year or in previous years that could make me think that he could beat Patrick Cantlay. So yeah, I think that's a fairly straightforward one.
Yeah.
It's looking like PGA Tour is cleaning up right now. Match number 7 then, Jordan Spieth versus Abraham Answer.
Well, Abraham Answer's just won the Saudi International. Jordan Spieth, I'm not really sure where his game is at the minute. He just seems a little bit out of sorts. If this was to happen right now, I think there could be a little shock on the cards here. I'll go for an Abraham Answer win. LIV Golf to nick one in that game. Okay. Maybe a 1-up win, maybe 2-1. Abraham Answer, please. All
right, locked in, Matt.
Yeah, I'll go for a half in this. Yeah, Spieth, he's a bit erratic. Spieth, although he's a 3-time major champion, I don't think he's won a singles match yet at the Ryder Cup. And he's only won a couple of singles matches in the President's Cup. So when he's on his own, I think he sort of thrives a bit less as opposed to when he's sort of paired with the likes of Justin Thomas.
Yeah.
And Abraham Answer had a half decent President's Cup in 2019, so which suggests that match play, he's not too bad at match play himself. So yeah, I'd say a half. I think it would level out in that sense. Alrighty,
match number 8: Tom Kim, PGA Tour, or Joaquin Niemann for LIV Golf?
Tom Kim is a superstar in the making. I think just seeing what he did at the President's Cup surprised a lot of people. He's so young, but he's so passionate, and I feel like he could be like kind of the next Poulter, where you see the best of him in match play golf. I think he's going to win majors. He's going to win many PGA Tour events. Joaquin Niemann, a good player, but I don't think he's anywhere near where Tom Kim is. So I'm going to say Tom Kim will win that probably quite comfortably, 3-2.
Yeah, I really liked Joaquin Niemann when he's on the PGA Tour. I still like him now. I think he's class. He's like a young player. He almost won a LIV Golf event last year. I think he lost the playoff, didn't he? I think when Dustin won. And he was a 2-time PGA Tour winner. I really quite like Niemann. He's got quite a unique swing, but I think I just saw at President's Cup as well. Tom Kim's full of sort of passion when it comes to team golf, and yeah, he's only sort of 20, 21, and he's won a couple of times in the PGA Tour as well. So I think if his match was to take place, he'd be well up for it, I think, too. So I'll give that to Tom Kim.
All right. Well, match number 9 lining up is Justin Thomas and Brian DeChambeau.
Another brilliant match, that.
Just full of good ideas.
You are,
this
Harry,
morning.
honestly. Could be a very, very close game. I'm going to go for JT just to nick it. Again, we've not seen Bryson for a while. He's been plagued with injuries for some time now. Obviously, going down the long drive route. Sounds like he's going to be reining that back a little bit going forward, just to try and stay a bit fitter. But I think, Justin Thomas obviously winning a major last year. Ryder Cup record speaks for itself. So JT for me, I think probably a 2-1 win in that game.
Yeah, sorry, but I agree. He's just got the all-round game, Thomas. I think obviously a 2-time major champion. He's 2 out of 2 for Ryder Cup singles matches, and I think he's just higher ranked than Bryson, obviously. And there's just more to just. It's hard to give these matches to LIV Golf because there's more evidence. They play more regularly, PGA Tour players. There's more evidence to suggest that they'll win. So as boring as it sounds, I'd say Thomas to win this match.
Fair enough. Your justification is fairly reasonable. Number 10 of 12 matches. Mm-hmm. It's Matt Fitzpatrick on the side of PGA Tour versus Paul Casey on LIV Golf.
An all-English affair. I'm going to go for LIV Golf to sneak one back here. I don't think Fitzpatrick's, certainly his match play record is particularly special, certainly in the singles. Not sure he's ever won a point. I think Casey would just nick that game, to be honest. But again, as we've been saying, we've not seen really these players playing too often recently. All right, Fitzpatrick did win a US Open last year, but I think match play is a different kettle of fish. And I think Casey would probably just have the edge in that all-English affair. So, a one-up win for Casey I'll go for in that game.
All right.
I think Fitz will win this quite convincingly if this were to happen. He's I think although he has got quite a bad record in the Ryder Cup. I think he's a different player now compared to when he was last played in the Ryder Cup for Europe. He's a major champion. He's just massively consistent. He's become a bit more formidable with his sort of driving distances. And again, lack of activity of Casey playing less golf. No form to suggest that he could rival what Fitzpatrick's done in the last year or so. So I'd say Matt Fitzpatrick to win that match.
All right, then. Now it's getting a little bit interesting with 2 more matches to play. Colin Morikawa, Brooks Koepka.
Well, I think I've got the score at 6-4 at the minute. Morikawa versus Koepka. Going to be a tight one. I'm going to go Morikawa just to edge that. Again, okay. Koepka, I just don't think we're seeing the best of him at the minute. It's a bit like Bryson DeChambeau. He's just... All right, he did pick out a victory on LIV Golf last year, but Morikawa is again a multiple major winner in waiting. I think he's going to be winning majors very, very quickly. Koepka, I feel, just kind of, I'm not really sure he's that bothered anymore. It just seems kind of he's taking his eye off the ball. Seems a bit more social media activity going on with his misses off, away from the course. I'm not really sure whether he's taking golf seriously anymore. Maybe he'll prove me wrong and he'll come back and he'll win another major next year, Brooks Koepka, but I don't see it personally. I think Morikawa's got more determination, a bit more class about him at the moment, and I'm actually expecting Morikawa to have a good year this year. I'll go Morikawa to win that, probably 2-1, 3-2.
I'd go with a half this one. I think
that's a half.
Although it seems like Morikawa's at the start of this year, his putting's looks to have improved quite a bit, but These are individual match play matches, and sort of on a given day, anything can happen if it were to happen. And Koepka is unbeaten in 3 singles matches, I think, at the Ryder Cup. And a bit like Johnson, he can be a bit of a beast when he sort of got it dialed in. So I'd say, yeah, if it were to happen, I'd say it was a half between those 2 players.
Can I push you?
I'd have to say Morikawa then. I'd have to say Morikawa.
Cool. One more to go. I've got to push you.
He's off the fence.
Okay. Final match.
Big game.
Scotty Scheffler versus Ian Poulter.
Mouth-watering tie, that. Look, I respect Scheffler obviously getting to world number 1 last year, winning 4 times. But Ian Poulter is a match play master. He's called the postman because he delivers. I think he would be so up for this game. Especially if he's missed out on Ryder Cup. This would probably become the highlight of his year, that I just don't see how he would lose this game, because he would be so determined to win it. And look, I appreciate Scheffler took down Rahm in Ryder Cup, and I get all that, but I just think Poulter would probably just have a little bit more power in this match. So I'm going to go for Poulter just to nick that one. But I think that would be a great game, a great finishing game. But yeah, Poulter, LIV Golf win for me there, please.
All right, nice. Matt, final match.
I'll go with Scotty Scheffler. Although Poulter, as Andy said, has got a cracking record in singles matches. Scheffler did win the Dell match play last year, and then he beat John Rahm on his Ryder Cup debut in the singles. So that suggests that Scheffler is sort of excels at match play. And although Poulter's record is good, I think just again the golf each of them are playing at the minute. I think you'd have to go for Scotty Scheffler.
Nice. All right. Scotty Scheffler wins that one for you.
I've tried to keep it interesting with my scoreline, but yeah.
No, I think Andy's one is interesting because you didn't sit on the fence. So Andy, you went for if my numbers are correct, it's a 7-5 win for PGA Tour over LIV Golf. Am I correct in that?
That is correct. Yeah.
Very nice. Now my maths is not adding up with Matt's. So I'm just.
I think I've got 8-4. I think
you got 8-4. Yeah, because I was like that. I've got one too many on the side of PGA. So I think you're an 8. Yeah, I think that makes much more sense. You are an 8-4 win for PGA Tour.
Okay.
Okay.
So either way,
possibly. Wait, 1, 2.
Because I'm adding
ones,
mine, and I've done too many. I was doing a tally. I've done one too many tallies, I think, because I'm.
No, it's 9-3. I've got 9-3 because you pushed me on Morikawa.
Oh, I did push you. That's throwing me. That's throwing myself. Okay.
But I think it's 9-3. So that might sound a bit harsh, but I think the PGA Tour has vastly better players. So if you look at it at face value again, I'd say I think those scores amount to where the PGA Tour quality and LIV Golf quality is at, to be fair.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Well, Andy, you were a bit more generous with the LIV Golf.
A little bit more generous. I tried to keep it interesting, but I think I've probably been kind on a couple of those ties. But yeah, no, I think regardless of the way we look at this, I think, it would be amazing if this did happen. I think the storylines, the genuine hatred between some of these players now as well, especially with, obviously Rory and Sergio's relationship, no longer being there, having been sort of very good friends. The Reed and Rory. Obviously, we saw the drama that we saw in Dubai recently. How exciting that was to close out. If we had this as a genuine match play event, it would just be so good. We're never going to lose the Ryder Cup, right? The Ryder Cup's got the history, and that's never going away. And I can't wait for that this year. But I think to have something like this going forwards, we've obviously got to see what happens in court hearings and see how it all plays out over the next few months. But the fact Greg Norman's already behind this, I think if you can persuade Jay Monahan to get behind this on the PGA Tour side of it, I'm pretty sure the players would be well behind this. Something that we do, maybe after the FedEx Cup or, when we're not in a Ryder Cup year or something like that. But I think just about every golf fan would love to see this. come to fruition. So let's see what happens.
I mean, I suppose not sound boring, but it would be unrealistic, wouldn't it? Like it's like the stereotypical thing. Oh yeah, let's have a match against LIV Golf. But it would be gold for television. It would be gold for fans. I mean, the amount of people that would tune in, like even non-golf fans, I think, who have heard about LIV Golf's emergence in the game, I think they might want to see what would happen if this match was to happen this year or next year, especially off the back of the release of the Netflix documentary as well. I don't think it's a massively stupid idea. It would be very interesting, and I don't think, apart from maybe Rory and a couple of them, I don't think there's that much animosity, like real animosity, like the real relationships between them don't reflect what people say on Twitter or what tweets are sent between players and golf fans. So I don't think there's actual hatred there. So if it were to actually happen, I think it would be quite a fun event for the players. There wouldn't be sort of, there wouldn't be like fights and that, would there? It'd be a good, exciting thing.
Not saying that at all, but I just think.
But yeah, if we're
there's not going to be punch ups or anything like that, but there's some frosty relationships. I'll put it that way. Certainly at the moment, if you to play this in a couple of weeks, there would be a real rivalry here, and I certainly would absolutely love it if this was to happen. I really, really would. But look, let's see what happens. We're speculating at the moment. But we'll see how the court hearings go first. We've got to get through that first. That's the next step, to see if guys can even still play on, if LIV Golf can even still play on DP World Tour. We've got to see what happens to PGA Tour players, what happens with their future. But I would love to see this.
Well, the hearings today, isn't it, in London, I think? The hearings today.
Yeah.
But what I sort of understood from the DP World Tour, sort of what the communications director, Scott Crockett, sort of revealed to the media was that the players are only contesting the tour's ability to reject player releases. I think that's what I sort of got from it. So I hope we get more details about if they're allowed to play in the Ryder Cup or if they're allowed to play on the DP World Tour. But from what I got from those details is that we're only going to hear if those rejections against player releases to play LIV Golf are actually lawful from the DP World Tour. So that's what I got from that. It wouldn't surprise me if we didn't get that much detail about if they're actually allowed to play on the DP World Tour. I think they might be able to just continue playing. They're all sort of content with still playing now. So they're not preparing. They're not playing and preparing for life in not playing for the DP World on the DP World Tour.
Yeah.
So and it's going to be several weeks until we find out anyway. So they're going to keep on playing and playing and playing until we find out the verdict of the hearing anyway.
Yeah.
But I believe it's today, the Sports Resolutions UK hearing in London. So
it goes on 5 days.
We'll obviously have to keep tabs on it and see what happens over the next few weeks in terms of a verdict.
Yeah,
absolutely.
See how it plays out.
On golfmagic.com for all the very latest. See how it all plays out. One thing's for sure, that would be absolute TV gold if it happens. But let's move on though to another big talking point from over the weekend, which was more controversy. This time over the redesign of the famous Swilcan Bridge at the home of golf in St Andrews. What we made of that then? It's sort of taken over Twitter and social media, really, isn't it?
Over the weekend, yeah. I genuinely had to check it wasn't.
Andy, go on, you go.
I genuinely had to check that it wasn't April the 1st yesterday. I genuinely thought it was a joke when I first saw it on Twitter. It's absolutely shocking. Looks horrendous. I think what Ken Brown said yesterday, it looks like a huge patio area, perfect for a barbecue, and I think he's absolutely bang on. I think it sort of, you take another look at it, it's like some dodgy 3-star Spanish resort where you've got like a little turnaround circle for your buggy cart. You don't have golf carts at St Andrews, but it just looks so tacky. It just doesn't suit the Swilcan Bridge. It's been there for 700 years. It was designed for shepherds to bring livestock across the burn, and it's an ancient and worn bridge. Just why not keep the natural look? I appreciate it's been designed for the footfall around it and people standing and waiting to take photos. And look, it's one of the most iconic landmarks in golf, if not the most. I've had the pleasure of standing on it before. It's an amazing moment, but now you look at it and it just looks completely different. Like, all right, you could still take a photo, and you wouldn't have this patio area in front of it, and there's a little patio area behind it as well. Not sure it was needed. I think there were other alternatives to make it look a little nicer. I think it just looks a little bit tacky for me. I'm not convinced about it.
So sorry, Harry.
That's right. No, I was trying to come up with a counter argument, but I thought, Matt, you go first.
Yeah, well, so I'm currently looking at a picture of what it looked like before the stones were there, and it was very, very sort of run down, very muddy at the start of the bridge. It doesn't show the other side of the bridge, but to be sort of frankly honest, I found it quite hard to get annoyed or care much about this. It's only
story of your life.
A new sort of. It's only sort of a new sort of stone design in front of a bridge that had the grass in front of it is ruined basically. There is no grass in front of it in the picture.
That photo was taken just after the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship, so it's going to be like you're going to get loads and loads of people coming through that week. So I think that was just one of those weeks, like.
Yeah, but I suppose visitors come from all around the globe to play St Andrews every day, and people would playing it for the first time each day, so they want pictures. They want people to stand there and take pictures. And as they've explained, they haven't actually touched the bridge. I don't think St Andrews Golf Links. They've just added the stone bit at the front and the back to replace the mud and the grass that's not there anymore, because so many people have stood and walked over it. So, I mean, I was sort of looking for information about it. I thought maybe St Andrews might have tweeted some, because every golf course tweets updates and information basically about what works are going on the course. But I couldn't find anything, because I assumed St Andrews didn't think they'd have to explain themselves about it, if I'm honest. But I suppose it is a story. It is quite a famous. It is a famous landmark in
massive
golf.
Story, absolutely massive story.
But the actual landmark hasn't actually been affected. I don't think it's just the outskirts of it that were a bit ruined from football.
But it's the fact
a massive number of years.
It's the fact it joins up to the bridge. It's like if it was away from the bridge and there was still still its own little bridge area. It's actually like. It's part of it all now, and I just think it kind of ruins that moment. It's iconic. You've had Tiger Jack all walking up to it, and now you've got this huge rogue area in front of it. I just think it looks it's comical in my eyes. As I said, I thought it was a joke when I first saw it. I genuinely can't believe they've done that. But hey.
Yeah, to be fair, when I first saw it, I sort of wondered if it was real. But yeah, I mean, if people don't want to. In the picture, they don't have to have it in the picture, I suppose. People are just going to stand in the middle of the bridge and sort of elevated above it, aren't they? But no, to be honest, I found it a bit difficult to get to get that bothered about it.
Well, social media definitely got bothered by it. Lots of people saying, just no, it's like drawing a moustache on the Mona Lisa. The only thing missing is wrought iron patio furniture. Looks like DIY stonework by a complete noob. Oh my God, who sanctioned this monstrosity? Just a few of the tweets that have come in on that one. So let us know what you think. Are you very upset by this, like Andy, or do you not really care, like Matt? Let us know in the comments below and see how that one pans out. But yes, lots of changes being made there. So controversy as always. Every week in the world of golf, there's something, isn't there? But shall we look at some of the actual playing action that happened over the last weekend, shall we? And let's start with the Ras Al Khaimah Championship. Matt, can you talk us through this one, pretty please?
Yeah, I really, again, the Sunday was very, very exciting. Daniel Gavins won. It was his second DP World Tour title. He's up to 7th in the race to Dubai rankings. But in the last round, although he looked fairly solid on the back nine, his putting is absolutely sensational, Dan Gavins. But on the back nine, he seemed quite solid. Even when he sort of was out of position, he sort of, on the 12th hole, I think it was, he hit a sort of wayward drive. And then he splashed out of the sort of the waist area, and sort of splashed out into the fairway, made a sort of a bogey, but it was sort of a solid bogey. And that brought him back to the field with sort of Alexander Bjork and Xander Lombard sort of in contention. But then he made really good birdies, really good putts, and really good approach play on 14 and 15. And then he made really sort of clutch pars on the 16th and 17th. He had a 2-shot lead on the last hole, for those who didn't see it. And his first drive is a par 5, a long par 5 with water all down the right-hand side. And his first drive goes in the water to the right. He then hits his second drive down in the fairway, fine. But while he's in the centre of the fairway, Bjork was 2 shots behind on the green with a long putt for birdie, but he 3 putts for bogey, which left Gavins with a 3-shot lead in the middle of the fairway. Whether he knew that or not, I don't actually know. I don't know if it's been made public if he knew that or not. But he then hit what was his 4th shot from the fairway into the water again, which then just increased the tension tenfold. And then he sort of pitched onto the green with his 6th shot to about 25 feet, which would have been a double bogey if he holed it with a 3-shot lead. And unbelievably, he did hold it, which took the double bogey down. It took him down to 17 under, with a 2-shot lead over Lombard, who was behind him. But it's obviously transpired that Bjork 3-putted for a bogey, and if a 2-putt would have for just a normal par would have taken it to a playoff. So that was the first bit of sort of landmine that Gavins missed, and then Lombard hit an amazing approach to the par 5, to the 72nd hole, and left himself with about 20 feet for an eagle. Unfortunately for him, he didn't hole it. But from looking quite steely and looking quite solid to sort of almost throwing it away. But his putting is outstanding. His putting came to his rescue. It came to his rescue when he won his first tournament, I think, at the DP World Tour at the Ice Pierce Hander Invitational in 2021. He really came to his rescue then as well. And yeah, he's a 2-time winner now. So a fantastic start to 2023. And as what always happens with European winners, I think you always look ahead in a Ryder Cup year, and you now think, how can he push on? And being Luke Donald's thoughts. He didn't play in the Hero Cup in January, which you might have been disappointed about. But now you sort of think every European winner might be in the thoughts of Luke Donald's. But there were more good finishes. Another good finish for Adrian Moronk in tied 4th. Rasmus Højgaard in tied 6th. Victor Perez in tied 13th. And Nikolai Højgaard in tied 13th as well. So more good finishes by sort of top European players. And I think each week we're always got to throw it forward to the Ryder Cup and think what the ramifications are for the qualification process. And if Gavins can sort of keep this sort of form up, as well as Moronk, as well as the rest of them, then they're definitely going to be in Luke Donald's thoughts. I think that's what we've got to consider at the end of each event, is the context of the Ryder Cup, as it's only sort of 7 months away now.
Absolutely. Well, it certainly was all action-packed, wasn't it? And the other thing going on, though, of course, that we spoke about was the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am last weekend, or the weekend just gone. But that's obviously still kind of going on. So it concludes later today, doesn't it, Andy? But what can you tell us so far?
Yeah, so we've got 9 holes left to play at Pebble Beach. England's Justin Rose assumes a 2-shot lead with 9 holes to play. Interesting match, just talking about Ryder Cup there. You know, we've got another player here, Justin Rose, who's an experienced Ryder Cup player, but he missed out on the last Ryder Cup. He'd be so determined to get back in that team. And it's just great to see him playing well again. You know, it is a mini resurgence of sorts. You know, this is a former US Open winner, a former FedEx Cup champion, a former Olympic gold medalist, former world number 1. You know, he's done just about everything in the sport, Justin Rose, and unthinkably finds himself down. And I think he's just outside the top 70 in the world now. It's quite incredible, really. As I say, he's been showing signs of resurgence. There's 4 top 30s in the last 4 starts coming into this week. And he's obviously got a 2-shot lead. You know, we have to remain somewhat unbiased here at GolfMagic, but I genuinely would love to see him get back in the winner's circle. I think he's one of the nicest guys I've ever interviewed on tour. And just hearing the way he's been speaking, you know, he's 42 years old now. And a lot of people might think, you know, would he go to LIV Golf? Like like his buddies have done, Ian Poulter, Stenson, going over there. He could do that now, 42 years old. He's done everything. He's achieved everything. Go and take your millions over at LIV Golf. But he's determined to etch his name on a bit more silverware and get himself back into that Ryder Cup team, compete in the majors, maybe win another major, won the US Open at Merion back in the day, and maybe he's got another US Open in him. But look, it's a long way to go in this tournament. Still 9 holes to go. I think it's going to be very breezy and cold this morning. I think when they tee off in the next couple of hours, he's hit a nice drive down the 10th, so he'll have a little wedge into the 10th hole there. He's got Brendan Todd, who's a multiple PGA Tour winner, tucked in behind, 2 shots behind. Peter Malnati is also 2 shots behind. He's going in search of his second PGA Tour win. I think he last won, must have been about 8 years ago now. I think Denny McCarthy's tucked in there, 3 shots behind. He's got a handful of holes left. He's never won before, so he's going quite low. He's 7 under for the round, I think he is. So it's not going to be easy for Rose to get it done. But I really, really hope he can do it, because I think, it would be great to get an early season win, and kind of get his career somewhat back on track. Because I'd love to see him back in that European Ryder Cup team. I really would.
Absolutely. Well, you can see and read about how all that concludes a little later on. Just keep up to date on the GolfMagic website as well if you can't watch it yourselves. Now, normally, this is the point of the show where we would have a special guest. And actually, we should mention last week's special guest, Gary Boyd, who was sadly, missed the cut in South Africa on the Challenge Tour. But we wish him the best of luck. And I think we can all collectively agree the Wi-Fi did not help him in any aspect of that. And we were supposed to have a special guest lined up today, but sadly had to withdraw at the last second, which tends to happen, which can happen. So sadly, no guest for this week, but we will absolutely make sure we get them back on and reveal who they are in the coming weeks. So in which case, let's fast forward and get you both, please, to reveal your tips once more for the action ahead. This time, though, it's the Waste Management Phoenix Open on the PGA Tour side of things and the Singapore Classic for the DP World Tour. Andy, what you got for us?
So, we obviously no luck last week, unfortunately, on the tips front. We both had Seamus Power, and he was believe it or not, he was joint leader in round 3. In the early stages of round 3, he was joint leader. I was getting quite excited. 25-1, we tipped him out. Then he went bogey, double bogey, and sent himself back into the pack just before the hooter went for the inclement weather delay. So shame the hooter didn't go just before he went bogey, double bogey. But such is life. We move forwards, try and make amends this week. Waste Management Phoenix Open, a start on the PGA Tour. A great field. It's obviously one of the elevated events on the PGA Tour. It's pretty much the who's who of the PGA Tour this week. Just about everyone lining up. It's kind of got that major feel. TPC Scottsdale, one of the best events of the year in terms of atmosphere. The par 3 16th, the raucous atmosphere that we get there. It's going to be, especially Super Bowl weekend coming up. It's going to be a pretty hectic atmosphere, I would imagine. Again, Rory McIlroy is returning. This is just his second start in this tournament. You might be surprised. I'm not going to pick him though this week. I obviously think he's going to have a stormer of a year. I'm just not sure this is really the venue for him. As I say, it's only his second time at Scottsdale. I think there's better alternatives this week. I'm going to be slightly boring though and pick the tournament favourite, Jon Rahm. I just feel that he is playing so well right now. He is an Arizona State uni product. He's going to have fans on his side this week. He's never won this tournament either, and I think there will be some sort of determination for him to win this, because I know it's a tournament that means quite a lot to him. I think he's only 6-1 this week. Not great odds, but the way he's playing at the minute, I think, looking at his last 8 starts, he's 2-1, 4-1, 8-1, 1-7. I mean, that is just unbelievable form. McIlroy's in a similar vein of form in terms of, hasn't finished out the top 10 in however long. But I just think this is a venue for Jon Rahm. He's never finished worse than tied 16th at TPC Scottsdale, and that included once as an amateur as well. So I'm going to play my main outright pick, Jon Rahm, this week. My second pick is going to be Patrick Cantley, narrowly denied here. to Scotty Scheffler 12 months ago. I think, he's got a shot at redemption this week. 16-1 looks pretty good value. I think if you do want a value pick for one of the favourites this week, I think 16s could look good. He's 16th and 26th in his first starts of this year, which is not great. He's going to want to improve on that very quickly. But I always think Cantley is just a very steady player, and he usually represents great value. So I'm going to have John Rahm at 6-1 and Cantley at 16s. And I'll quickly move on to the Singapore Classic. It's quite sad, really. It's a pretty depleted field on the DP World Tour. Perhaps that's a sign of the times right now. Looking through the field, the highest ranked player is Ryan Fox again. I'm not going to play him this week, though. I'm going to play Jordan Smith. I think he's available at around the 18-1 mark. He won 5 starts ago. So he comes in here in relatively good form. 20th in Dubai 2 weeks ago, which was a pretty strong field in Dubai. So I think that's quite good. He comes in here liking his chances. But yeah, as I say, it's with no real confidence in this tournament. I'm going to pick Jordan Smith as my outright pick, and I will have an each way play on a chap who joined us 2 weeks ago on the podcast, Connor Syme, 40-1, looks huge value. We obviously spoke to him, like the way he was speaking to us. I feel like the maiden win is around the corner soon. He was in contention in Abu Dhabi 3 weeks ago. He got within, a shot of the lead at one point in the final round, and just had a really bad finish. But the game's there, and I think a win could be around the corner if he's going to do it. In a field like this, there's no better chance for him. So Jordan Smith and Connor Syme in Singapore, please.
We can then say, if he does win, that we're really the reason for it.
Absolutely,
so if you want to win, come onto the podcast and chat with us.
100%.
Okay, Matt, and these are your final tips, right? This is your final show with us.
They are indeed, yeah.
So make them good.
Yeah. Well, I'll make no promises. So I'm going to start with the defending champion at the Phoenix Open, Scotty Scheffler. He beat Patrick Cantlay in a playoff last year. It was a tournament that got him sort of kicked off in his career. It was his first win in his career. It was a bit of that sort of started him on sort of a warpath. He won 4 times, including the Masters after that. He hasn't really sort of got going this year, I don't think. If you just look at his results now. He came second at Hero World Challenge, but that was sort of a limited field event. He came tied 7th at Century Tournament of Champions, and then tied 11th at the American Express. So, to be fair, pretty solid for Scheffler. I wouldn't say he's contended yet, but maybe those 2 sort of events he's going to be used as warm-ups to the WM Phoenix Open. He didn't play this week, I believe. Just an outstanding player. As I say, he won 4 times last year. I think you'd imagine that a couple more are going to be on the cards this year. Scotty Scheffler, I think you can get him around, I think about 10-1, 12-1. And then I'm going to play, I think, Hideki Matsuyama, who's a 2-time, he won this tournament in back-to-back years. And he's also come second as well. So he won it in 2016, 2017. He came second in 2015 as well. So he could have potentially won it 3 times in a row. I've always loved Matsuyama. I love his swing. I love how solid he is. He came tied 9th at the Farmers Insurance Open just last week. So again, a bit like Scheffler, he hasn't he's played 3 times this in 2023. So maybe he's just getting warm. The stadium course at TPC Scottsdale, he clearly enjoys playing it, having been a past winner. I think he represents decent value as well. I think he's about sort of 24-1, 23-1. So Scheffler and Matsuyama would be my plays. I'll be expecting, well, definitely at least one of them to be in contention, and hopefully both of them. In terms of the Singapore Classic, I'm going to choose Sebastian Soderberg. To be fair, with the odds for these tournaments, I feel like if you went back over the odds of the winners, they would be quite big. So I think you have to take the odds sometimes with a bit of a pinch of salt. Because Sebastian Soderberg is about 60-1, but he came tied. He came second to Victor Perez, tied second to Victor Perez at the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. And he should have really forced a playoff. He could have birdied the last and got forced a playoff, I believe. But he missed a cut at the Hero Dubai Desert Classic, admittedly. But he had a fairly decent year in 2022. He came tied fifth at Nedbank. He came tied fifth at Dutch Open. He came second at the Betfred British Masters, which is a competitive event held at the Belfry, and 10th at the Star City Championship. So I think he's a fairly solid player. I think 60-1 is fairly overpriced. He's a one-time winner. He won the Omega European Masters in 2019. So I'll go with Sebastian Soderberg as my first choice, and then my second choice is a bit of a. I've not sort of really tipped this player before, but I'm going to go with Dale Whitnell. Mm-hmm. He's recorded some cracking scores, some really good individual rounds this season. He had his 63 in the second round last week. He had a 66 in the final round in Abu Dhabi. He tied 10th there in a decent field event. At the Joburg Open, he had 65 in the last round, came tied 6th. And I think he's about 66-1 as well. So I think with some of these players, you can take their sort of, with some of the favourites as well, you can take their sort of prices with a pinch of salt and sort of look down the odds and get some decent value. So I think with that scoring in mind, I think Whitnell is a fairly good, both each way plays, I think. But he came tied 4th in Mallorca. He came tied 10th at the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship last season. So yeah, I think that Dale Whitnell and Sebastian Soderberg will be my two choices this week.
And if they're rubbish, well, you're not here anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so there'll be no one to hang me for it.
Exactly. Well, look, we'll end it there, shall we, for today. Thank you very much for watching or listening wherever you are. Make sure you're tuned in across golfmagic.com for all the latest news and analysis across the week, and then we shall be back with you next week, or at least Andy and I will. Matt, we wish you the best of luck in your next venture as well. Thank you for excellent first 4 or 5 shows. It's been brilliant. Get your questions in if you have any. Leave them in the comments section, or you can tweet, Instagram or Facebook us. Just search Golf Magic. But from myself, Harry Benjamin, from Andy Roberts, and from Matt Shivers, bye-bye.